Good morning and welcome to At Home with Momma B. I am your host, Momma B. This is our channel where we discuss healthy living without the guilt trip, time management without the pressure, and real life without the highlight reel. And I am joining you live. It is a Friday morning at 5:12 in the morning. It's been a little bit of a rougher morning. I had someone wake us up at 4. I have the hardest time going back to sleep. My husband doesn't usually have a hard time going back to sleep. So I am on my first cup of coffee. I'm only about 4 sips in. So give me some grace this morning, guys. I'm going to sit here with my Golden Girls mug and we are going to discuss how to make a meal plan. So the 3 words that I want you to focus on when you are thinking of how do I make a meal plan is assess, staples, and decide. Okay, those are going to be our first 3 primary steps. So we're going to start with assess. Assess. What does that mean? What do I do? You need to look at what you have already in your fridge, in your pantry, in your deep freeze. What you need. So what do you need that you ran out of milk this week? That's just one example. And then what do you have going bad? Okay, remember, hashtag no waste nutrition here. So going bad is something that I tend to focus more on in my house. When I sit and I assess what I need for the meal plan, I usually will stand and look in my fridge for a little bit, stand and look in my freezer for a little bit, look in the pantry, look in our deep freeze. There have been times though where I'm super rushed and I have to make the meal plan, say on my lunch break or at a kid's practice. And so what I'll do is I'll snap pictures. I'll take a picture of the inside of the fridge, a picture of the inside of the freezer. I'll open up our pantry and take a picture of the inside of the pantry and then go outside and take a picture of our deep freeze. And I know that sounds silly, but I can't tell you how helpful it is to be looking at what I need. That's the need part. And just be able to look at pictures. If you keep things, now me personally, I kind of keep things in the same place in the fridge so I can look in my fridge and my pantry and say like, okay, I know we're running out of canned beans. I know we're running out of cheese. I know we're running out of eggs, and then add it to the list from there. Okay, so we've assessed. And so now we need to look at our staples. And in our house, and I feel like this is pretty similar in most houses, there's 3 types of staples: your grocery staples, your pantry staples, and your produce staples. Okay, so grocery staples: milk, cheese, eggs, bread. What was provided during World War II that people could not create on their own? Milk, cheese, eggs, bread. Roasting oils is another good one to think about. And that pretty much covers the grocery part of it. The pantry. So the pantry is going to be all of your dried goods. And so every house looks different as far as what dried goods they're going to have in stock. In our house, we have a lot of canned beans, high fiber, high protein. We have a lot of tomato products, even to include fire roasted tomatoes, because I do make a lot of soups with those. A lot of cream of blank. Helpful hint, I always buy the reduced fat cream of. And then lots of canned fruits and vegetables on, days that we tend to kind of run out of produce, so I can just incorporate those. Lots of dried pastas. Produce. The produce is going to be anything that you need that you know you will eat and run out of throughout the week. Okay, so let's think about that. So in our house, in the Momma B house, we tend to run out of bananas, apples, some type of berries I'll always carry on hand, and then vegetables for lunch and dinner. So we love a lot of carrots, a lot of broccoli, a lot of salads. And so those are your 3 staples to think about when you are making your meal plan: grocery, pantry, produce. Don't underestimate your grocery apps. So we have Sam's Club and Walmart in this house, and I will be sure and link our Walmart Plus down below if anyone wants to try it. When I run out of a grocery, I just go ahead and add it to the app. Most of the time my phone's within reaching distance. Sometimes I'll write it down. My kids, I've trained to start writing it down. So if one of my children, obviously my husband has a phone, so he'll add it to the app too. but if my children are the last to eat something, they will write it on our little meal planning board. And that is also very helpful. So download the apps. If you know that you're out of something, just go ahead and add it into the app, because then it doesn't take up valuable brain space. It is on the app. You will get it next time, and you've already put that bookmark away. Something that a lot of people don't think about when they're making the meal plan is spices. So I tend to add spices as I need them within the app, like we just discussed. But if you are one of those people that just don't use spices a whole lot or don't use them regularly, I would start putting on whatever calendar format you're using, whether it's a paper calendar, Google Calendar, etc. I would put in a reminder. Bi-monthly or quarterly is a really good time frame for that, to just inventory your spices. Inventory your spices, see what you need. I can't tell you how many times I've been out of a spice or needed a spice for a recipe, and I look it up online and I just make my own. So now we're to the point where I make my own Greek seasoning. I make my own taco seasoning. I make my own chicken taco seasoning because it's different than beef. I make my own seasoning salt. I make my own pumpkin pie spice. So you'll get to the point where you get so familiar with cooking that you can just make your own spices from stuff you already have if you have enough of a stock. Okay, we've assessed, we've looked at our staples, and now we are deciding. We are deciding what we're going to do for dinner this week. Now, there are a couple routes that you can take decisions. You can go based off of a theme. You can go based off of family decides, flavor decides, or in our house, it is we don't waste. Hashtag no waste nutrition. So my pain point when I'm making a meal plan is I am looking at, first and foremost, what is going bad. That is how I focus our meal plan. What is going bad? How can I incorporate that into this week's meal plan? What do I know that is going to go bad or rancid before the next week? So I'm gonna give you guys a perfect example. 2 weeks ago, I had some feta cheese that was going bad. And I mean, it wasn't going bad, but it was just, you could smell it. And I was like, you're gonna turn in a day or two. And then I had some fresh mint that I had cut. And then I had some sage that I had cut. And they were all starting, they weren't gonna be good within the next couple of days. And so I have done this 2 ways in the past. I have done it where I type in all the ingredients that I have going bad into the web browser and I say, make me a recipe. That used to take a lot of time. I used to have to do a lot of perusing for the recipe that I was looking for that had everything else. I'm not here for opinions, but I am going to say, if you have any kind of AI, I personally use ChatGPT. What used to take me 30 minutes now takes me 5. And so the other day I put in, I have sage, mint, feta, and I want to make some kind of meatballs out of ground beef recipe. I gave it how many pounds I had of ground beef. I had 1.5 pounds. And then I gave it, the measurements of everything else. And since ChatGPT knew what herbs I already had in the garden, it took 5 minutes to pop me out a Greek meatball recipe. Now, once again, I am not here for the opinions on whether you agree or disagree with AI. That is not what this channel is about. I am just saying that what used to take me 30 minutes to search for online myself took me 5. That is all I'm here to say. So take that as a grain of salt. Use it if you wish, but you can take and find a recipe using what you have going bad very easily. And those are the 2 formats I've used before. Okay, so as I've said, we focused on no waste in this house, but I discussed theme, flavor focused, and then family focused. I am going to go in the order that we do in Momma B's house. So food waste is up here. So I've looked at what's going bad and I've taken those ingredients into account and I've said, okay, I'm gonna use my mint, my sage, and my feta, and I'm gonna make Greek meatballs, okay? But then once I take into account what's going bad, my next step is I sync it to our family calendar, okay? What does that mean? What does it mean that you sync it to your family calendar? I sit there and I look at our calendar for the week and I say, okay, we have, last night's a great example. We had 3 practices and there are 2 parents. So we had to have dinner super early and it had to be fast. So last night it was a leftover night. It was very easy. I just stand, everybody kind of picks what they want. I make everyone's plate. I eat my plate and then we just start shuffling people out of the house. So on longer work days, those should be your shorter meal preparation days. And so on the days that I work super long, I never plan on cooking more than an hour. But on the days that I don't work, I definitely try to spend at least an hour in the kitchen. So when you're sitting down and you are looking at your work week and you've got a super long Monday and 3 practices, that's not going to be the day that you make homemade lasagna. That's going to be a day that you bake a pallet of fish, throw some rice in one of those little packets in the microwave, and steam some vegetables over a steamer. So now that you've synced your work days and you know what days you will have less time for meal preparation and what days you will have more time for meal preparation, it is now time to decide what you are going to buy. And I want to give one opinion from a nutritionist, from someone that has maintained a healthy weight all of their life. I want to let you guys know that there is nothing wrong with a frozen lasagna. And I will tell you right now that there were many studies, too many actually to link below, but there were so many studies from the USDA that foods purchased from the grocery store are generally more nutrient dense than meals from fast food restaurants. I am not here to villainize fast food, but all I am saying is between the cost and the health, grocery stores will always be superior. So how do I take that into account? A frozen lasagna and a bagged salad that won't make you sick is always going to be healthier than a burger and French fries. And we can sit here and argue all day about it's a whole wheat burger. There are so many additives and chemicals in processed fast food that are still present in frozen food, but it's just not to the same levels at all. So it is much healthier and more time conscious for you to make that, frozen pizza and have a side of carrots than to hit the drive-through line. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys on that. So we've looked at our calendar, we've determined what days we have shorter meal preparation times and longer meal preparation times, and now it's time to decide what we're actually going to make. So I know that on the first 2 nights, I'm going to take the stuff in the fridge or the freezer. Sometimes that happens too, in the fridge or the freezer that's going bad. So I'm going to incorporate that into, my first couple meals for the week. But then I've got 5 other meals. What else am I going to make this week? This is the time where it can get fun. So family input, remember our statistic about including your families. Kids are more likely to eat food where they feel like kids are all about control. People are all about control. They want control of their situation. So if you give the kid the illusion that they have decision, it's not an illusion because they are making the decision, but they're going to be more likely to eat it. So this is the time where you have family input. What we will do in our house, if I don't have stuff going bad, is I will take each person, which there are 6 of us, and every single person decides on what we eat that week, and they just decide the main dish. So I've got one kid that'll always pick spaghetti. I've got one kid that'll always pick pizza. And then I've got another kid that always picks something off the wall. And it's really funny to me. Anyways, so you can do that. You can have each day a family decides, and then you decide on the produce that you're having, etc. Another way to do it is the taste preferences. So for you, if you know that you are just craving Indian food that week, put in a night of Indian food. If you're a woman and you've been feeling super low energy lately and you know that you need more iron in your diet at this time, book a steak night. Book a steak night at the house. So you can take the family input, but also keep those taste preferences. Those are also another avenue that you can get to the meal plan. We've done themes in the past. So we've done a theme where we did a theme each night, and this worked for a while. It just got a little expensive because we were buying so much to go with the theme. And the theme was Meatless Monday, Taco Tuesday. So on Meatless Monday, we did no meat, and we would do something like red beans and rice. Taco Tuesday, any kind of taco. Remember we talked about this. You can do Indian butter chicken tacos on naan. Wacky Wednesday, where we did some kind of ethnic food, and we would do, a stir fry that night, or Indian food, or Korean barbecue, lettuce wraps. Thirsty Thursday, that one just carried over from college, honestly. And we turned Thirsty Thursday into a quarter night. It was like a soup night. So it's just one of those things that my husband and I were like, it still has to be Thirsty Thursday. It can't be anything else. So Thirsty Thursday is a soup and salad night. And then Fishy Friday, we would always do some kind of fish or shrimp. Soupy Saturday, we would also do another soup. We really like soup in our house. And then Silly Sunday. And Silly Sunday would usually be breakfast food. And so that breakfast food that we had for dinner on Sunday night would then act to be our breakfast meal prep, because my husband will get out there on the Blackstone and do it in bulk for, it used to be for the full week, but now they eat so much, it's only for a couple days. But still, it helps. It helps because you are making the breakfast food Sunday night, and then you have some stuff partitioned out for the next couple of mornings of breakfast for everyone. Okay, so now you've looked at everything, and you should have your 7 nights. It's usually 6 in our house. 7 nights of meals decided on for that week. And so now you've got your main, your entree focus. And so now you've got to look at side dishes and what other ready-made staples do I need to have in the house. So side dishes. In our house at dinner, side dishes is at least 2 vegetables, most of the time 3, because someone always doesn't like one of the vegetables, and I want them to eat 2 vegetables at night, and then some kind of whole wheat carbs. So we'll use Soupy Saturday, for example. On Soupy Saturday, I'll usually serve a soup, a salad, some kind of chopped vegetable, and then I'll usually do sourdough bread with fresh butter. And so that gives us the 2 vegetables, and it's not a whole wheat carb, but it's a fermented carb, which is really good for your gut health. So that is side dishes in our house, usually 2 vegetables and some kind of whole wheat carb. What is a ready-made staple? A ready-made staple is frozen pizzas. You will always find frozen pizzas in the barn, in Momma B's house. Fish sticks. You will always find fish sticks in Momma B's house. Waffle fries, chicken tenders, mac and cheese. Those are bulky enough to act as your entree should you do 2 things. Should you have a complete flop with the recipe, or could you just have no energy at all? It is okay to serve that stuff. On nights that I go to my book club, the kids love that I always prepare for them before I leave fish sticks, mac and cheese, peas. That is the mom's leaving before dinner's over dinner for the night. So we have decided, our decisions are made. The meal plan is in the calendar, it's on the board. We have the meal plan made. Now it comes time. Monday night, I have had a ringer of a day. And you know what? I don't want to make a meatloaf. And that's okay. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to change. It's okay to take what you were going to make Monday and make it Tuesday. It's okay to postpone it. It's okay to make those frozen pizzas, because here's the thing, you're still making dinner at your house. A lot of times on those nights where I come home and I'm just super exhausted, I hype myself up. And so on my drive home, I'll put on some really fun music, and this sounds crazy, but I'm looking at myself in the rearview mirror like, second shift, you got this, let's go. And sometimes it takes that talking myself up to just get ready to come home and make dinner. And so if you have to do that, most of the time I try to find something really enjoyable. So I'll put on some really fun tunes. I'll make myself a glass of wine, and I just start, slowly incorporating dinner into that. And so, I mean, it's like anything else that's good for us. A lot of times you start a workout, you don't want to be there, but you're always glad you finished the workout. Think of making dinner like that. I'm going to do it. I may not like it at first, but by the end of it, I'll be so glad that I did. Read your energy levels, respect your body, but also know that you can turn that around by just doing it and just telling yourself, and that builds resilience, telling yourself, you know what, I know you're tired. I know you don't want to do this right now, but guess what? We're just going to do it because that's what we promised ourselves and that's what we promised our family. The last thing I want to talk about is leftovers. And leftovers are such a hot topic. I'm actually really excited to talk leftovers. They are a hot ticket item. So we are going to discuss leftovers in another video. That is a whole nother animal in itself. So thank you guys for joining me on this Friday morning. I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend. I hope that this how to make a meal plan has given you I want y'all to feel empowered. I want y'all to feel empowered when you go to sit down to make your meal plan. But don't forget, assess, staples, decide. If you guys have any questions or comments, hit me up down below and we will do our best to get back to you. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful weekend.